Hello, my name is Esme Loukota and I'm the Curator and Executive Officer at the Museum of Richmond. The Museum of Richmond is a small independent museum that tells the local history of the London Borough of Richmond upon Thames. We have around 5,000 objects in our collection. We have a permanent gallery showing how the area has changed through time, and we have 2 temporary exhibitions a year that look at local locations, people or themes. We also have an extensive learning programme. Our Learning and Audience Development Officer arranges school workshops on a wide variety of themes, family workshops during the school holidays, and adult learning activities throughout the year. As a small charity, we rely heavily on the support of our volunteers, who help us out by staffing the reception desk, answering questions from the public, and helping us to digitise our collection. Our work experience students work across all these different aspects of the museum. They often spend the first day on the reception desk with an established volunteer to see how the front of house aspect of museums works. They then join me for a day working on collections management, which involves cataloguing and photographing objects, and often doing object research as well. The final 2 days are spent with our Learning and Audience Development Officer. The first day is spent on the learning aspect of her role, helping to prepare for and sometimes helping out with school workshops, and also planning for future learning activities. The second day is spent on the audience development aspect, which involves recording feedback from our visitors and planning social media posts. I joined the museum sector around 5 years ago, having previously worked in publishing. I started out as a front of house volunteer before getting my first paid role in the fundraising team at the Foundling Museum. But after I realised I wanted to work more with the objects than with the fundraising, I decided to do an MA in Museum Studies at UCL. After my MA, I moved on to a curatorial role in the Royal London Hospital Museum and then on to the Science Museum before coming to the Museum of Richmond. I have a few pieces of advice for people thinking about joining the museum sector. The first is to think about what really interests you. A lot of people think that museum work is all curatorial work, and that just isn't the case. There's a huge variety of roles out there, from learning to front of house, to marketing, to fundraising, and so many more. Really think about what kind of work you'd like to do in museums. The second piece of advice is that museum work can be really competitive, and you may have to demonstrate your interest in the museum sector. One way to do this is through voluntary work. So have a look for volunteering opportunities that fit with the kind of work that you want to have in museums. The third piece of advice is just to be aware that the museum sector is not the place to be if you plan on being a millionaire. As I just mentioned, you may well have to take some unpaid voluntary roles to begin with, and even the paid roles do not have very big salaries. If you're passionate about museums, it is absolutely worth it, but it's something to think about when you're planning your future.